How could Utah possibly be a 9.5-point favorite over Cincinnati? Utah, 2 losses in Big 12 play. Cincinnati, unbeaten. This week, we're finally getting a lot of love for the Bearcats nationally. How are they a 9.5-point underdog in this game? There is one reason. It's a pretty clear answer, and I have uncovered this for you, okay? So let's talk some Big 12 game of the week, because everyone is going to be talking some Big 12 game of the week. College GameDay will be there, which is huge, all right? Big Noon is great. Gets about 1 million viewers a show. College GameDay is still up over 2 million. So bigger deal to have game day, and really just symbolically, almost more than anything, to have game day back in the Big 12 and maybe going back again next week. More on that later. It's a great thing. And to me, it's nothing against Utah at all, but the story that they're following is Cincinnati. Utah's still involved in the Big 12 championship picture. Probably going to need some help there, but they're still involved with a couple of losses, and it's definitely a great place, cathedral-wise, in college football to go to in Rice-Eccles to have it there at that game. And obviously, Utah will provide a really formidable opponent with the fact that they are 9.5-point favorites. But the story that they're following is Cincinnati. And it's because Cincinnati has the one really close loss. And I wish Brendan Sorsby could have one throwback in that Nebraska game. See what happens. Just continue that drive out. Really felt like they were going to at least tie it there. But outside of that, Cincy has not lost. They have become the story of the Big 12. They're now in the top 20. Everybody is taking notice of Brendan Sorsby this week. He's in the top 10 of On Three's like consensus among all of their reporters, their Heisman ballots. Like Sorsby, rightfully so, has taken his place as a legit dude in college football this week. He was on with Andy Staples at On Three. Like to me, it felt like the week where like the Cincinnati stuff kind of broke nationally, where like Cincy had sort of been butting its head up against like a ceiling that people had perceived. Like for instance, for me, I set like I think Cincinnati, 7-win ceiling maybe coming into the year. They kind of kept butting against it. They beat Kansas, and I'm like, whoa, hey, wait. Took notice of that. Then they go jump on top of Iowa State 31-7, and I'm like, okay, all right, here they are. And to me, that's when they broke through, like, to me and in the Big 12. Now they continue to win. They take care of Baylor by multiple scores, and then it's like, all right, this thing is finally broken through to the nation. The nation realizes, hey, we need to pay attention to what's happening in Cincinnati because, yeah, nobody had a lot of love for Scott Satterfield going into the year, but that is a program that just 4 years ago was in the 4-team college football playoff, like the 4-team era college football playoff. Let's pay attention to what's going on here at Cincy. Game Day decides to go there. Even Brendan Sorsby even got a bump from EA Sports on the NCAA football game to an 88 this week. Okay. So I'm sitting there like, all right, this is good. Like people are finally coming around to what's going on at Cincy. I like this. And then I see the line and I'm like, how is it 9.5? Like, and I'm somebody, I like Utah. I was doing a BYU radio show today and I got asked, do you think BYU hasn't played anybody like some people say? And I was like, no, that's ridiculous. I think the Utah win is great. And don't take anything away from winning at Iowa State. But that was all about Utah. I think Utah's a good team. But it's like, man, like Evan Pryor being out, are we Evan Pryor being out and playing at Rice-Eccles? Are we just Utah has thumped teams when they've won this year? I guess, is that what we're operating off of here? I mean, I don't know. Every time I have tried to put some limitation on Cincinnati based on something like that, they have just blown right through it this year. Evan Pryor is Cincinnati's leading rusher. He's going to be out, but I mean, Cincinnati's had a two-headed monster at running back this year. So Tawi Walker has been really good too. He's kind of neck and neck with Evan Pryor when it comes to rushing yards. I don't know, man. That felt like too rich for my blood. I think it's going to be a knockdown drag out. I think it will be a very good game. But what I found here when I was like looking into this, I'm like, okay, what is going on here? Like, why such a lofty line here? And you start to dig into it and it's like, oh my, the computers love Utah, dude. Love Utah. SP Plus, which I reference a lot from ESPN, Bill Connolly's SP Plus, his computer rankings that he has that have become, to me, they're kind of like the most widely used in the industry. Cincinnati, or has Utah rather, at number 7. Number 7 in the country, not in the Big 12, in the country. Utah at number 7. Cincinnati's at 23, by the way. Utah at 7. BYU at 19, if you're curious there, for a comparison, too. I noticed this when I looked at Josh Pate's JP poll, which people get this confused, but JP poll is just, these are power ratings based on his computer. Okay. So these are power ratings, not his rankings, power ratings. You can see Utah is there at number 12. And that was one of the first things that caught my attention this week, where I'm like, damn, like the computers really love them some Utah. Top 20, no sign of BYU, no sign of Cincinnati. So there's another computer that just loves some Utes. Loves some Utes. Tom Fernelli is another guy that does power rankings for CBS Sports. He's got a top 12. He had Utah at 11. No BYU, no Cincy. Cincy was 21. BYU was 15. The computers love Utah. Now, why? You would ask, why do they love Utah? Well, they love Utah because Utah just pummels people. Like, margin of victory, Utah has that in spades. They just club you if they're going to beat you. Beat Colorado by 46 last week, but even beyond that, I mean, Arizona State by 32. I don't know if these computer rankings can tell that, like, that was a Jeff Sims game, but Arizona State by 32, West Virginia by 34, UCLA by 33. When Utah has won, they win. There is no doubt. They bludgeon people when they win, and that does help you when it comes to the computers here, if you are rolling up margin of victory. So I think what you're seeing is a reflection of that. Like, Vegas is operating off their own systems, their own metrics, their own computer rankings that they're using. All of that stuff, model, if you want to call it model, all that stuff seems to be really high on Utah. And I think that's how you arrive at this 9.5 number. I think that's way too high, man. I expect this is going to be a really close game. Now, if Cincinnati is going to win, I mean, Brendan Sorsby needs to ball out, because I do think it'll be – Cincinnati's had a great running game this year. I think it'll be tougher, especially when you're playing at Utah, to out-physical them and be able to push them around and really win the line of scrimmage. We've seen that happen twice, basically, this year. Texas Tech really did it and wore down Utah. I think it's fair to say BYU, definitely held their own in doing that in the Utah game that they played, albeit that one was at home at Lavelle Edwards. Is Cincy as physical as Texas Tech and BYU? I think that's really the question there. How much can they generate? Down Evan Pryor and having to go to Utah to play that offensive line and that defensive line, can they be physical enough to establish themselves the way that BYU and Texas Tech did? And Brendan Sorsby's got to keep it rolling. But, man, he's protected the ball, 20 touchdowns, 1 pick. He obviously can run it himself. He had one of the sickest highlights I've seen all season last year, just leaving a guy in the dust with an incredible cut. It's going to be a great game. I do, it's great that it's in the window alone, the Big 12 after dark window, but that will be a long night for all of us trying to watch that on Saturday.